And I'm here doing a short video, hopefully a very short video. But this one is kind of in, as I'm sitting and writing and organizing my next 3 months, one of the things that came up was an experience I had when I was a child. So when I was a child, I'll preface it by saying my mother was a nurse like practitioner. She was a um, like a nurse's assistant, and this is in the 60s. And my um, one of my uncles was a police officer. Another one of my uncles was a police officer when I was young, and then had been promoted to a police detective. He went on later to get his pilot's license, and I went up with him a number of times in a small planes and a glider. Really exciting when I was younger than 10. Also, he was also he learned how to fly a helicopter as well. So he was a helicopter pilot for the fire department. So when I was really, really little, family get-togethers were in my relatives working, and I knew that they had guns. They had guns, and we had to be really careful with them. When they always said, "Be careful because your uncle has a gun," and you have to be careful when you're playing because they had it on at all times, right? And so family get-togethers, they normally, when you have holidays, your relatives are working. They were working, and I knew why they were working. So it was something that was always on my mind. And then this is before any of the movie. There's some movies, and we could do movie references that came out after this. But this was like the year is about 1970, and I'm about 5 years old, and probably a little younger than five, but about that time frame when hopefully, your creativity and your innocence and your imagination are just on full blast. And there's sometimes annoyances to put your toys away, or you have to go visit relatives, or you have to go clean up after yourself, or you have to set the dinner table, all these other things. So besides that, it was a wonderful time of your own imagination, your own creativity. School was more about drawing and coloring, and not a big emphasis on learning what someone else wanted you to learn. Maybe a little bit of that, but a lot of doing what you wanted to do, right? And so, in that feeling, if you can remember a feeling or remember a time that was like that, and I just remember very vividly, I was just having time within myself, and drawing or coloring or talking to my stuffed animals, and I was like, you know, I don't understand why we have judges. I don't understand why we people have a trial. I don't understand why our my uncles are police or detectives. I don't understand, because doesn't everybody know that everything you've ever done has been recorded, and that there's some kind of there's some kind of record player, there's some kind of mechanism that whatever we're doing is being recorded. And I was at such a young age that this was not something that somebody told me this lifetime. This was not something that I read. And then um, as I would grew up, and as my mom took me to church, I never heard anyone else telling this. Like, it was a knowing. I knew it. So the way it worked for me is I knew that whatever I did, that whether it was God was watching or someone else was watching, it wasn't so much a threat because it happened when I was really young. I was like, no, it's just this thing that everything I've ever done and everything I ever do and anything anyone has ever done or ever did is recorded. And it's a matter of people waking up and understanding that they have the availability to look into that thing that people know about, which I felt was like intuition. I saw intuition everywhere. I just didn't realize that people who were being intuitive, they didn't realize where that information was coming from, because I was so young. And when you're like 3, 4, 5, because you have experiences and you see colors and you have feelings, and you can tell when people are telling the truth or lie, you think everybody else does. So I just remember that, and I remember laughing to myself, like, oh my gosh, because if you're thinking about doing something nefarious and you realize that someone is going to be able to access that information, then it can be a deterrent from you not doing that. So much love.